Be sure to follow us on TikTok at MysticSage1 for daily anime content. Vegeta, Frieza, Cell, Majin Buu, the Red Ribbon Army, Broly, Piccolo, Zamasu, Tao, and Jiren. All at some point enemies of Goku that have risen to the task of defeating the Saiyan, some dedicating their existence to being the one to finally defeat him. With such a wide array of characters spread across 3 television series and a handful of movies, it may seem impossible to do this, but we're going to try. Today, we're taking a look at who Goku's greatest enemy is. We'll take a look at some of his biggest canonical enemies from Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, and finally Dragon Ball Super. After which, I'll let you know who I think his greatest enemy truly is. Let's not waste any time because we have got a lot to talk about. In Dragon Ball, one of the first truly big enemies Goku encounters is Emperor Pilaf and his gang of miscreants, Agent Mai and Agent Shu. They oppose Goku as he and Bulma chase down the Dragon Balls for the very first time, and after Goku destroys their castle in his Ozaru state. Oolong eventually ruins their plans to use a wish on the Dragon Balls, and they end up becoming a rather permanent set of adversaries for Goku throughout Dragon Ball. They disappear for almost the entirety of Dragon Ball Z outside of off-screen antics that eventually turn them into children, and are now on the side of the Z Fighters in Dragon Ball Super. They join a long list of characters who started out as enemies of Goku and soon became allies with him one way or another. Followed by the Pilaf gang is the Red Ribbon Army and Mercenary Tao. Immediately after Pilaf's usage of the Dragon Balls, they end up scattered across the Earth once more, and Goku's connection to his grandfather's 4-star ball leads him to search on his own for the Dragon Balls. Not too long into his journey, he comes across the Red Ribbon Army, a militia working for a Napoleon-esque leader named Commander Red. Goku spends most of his time hunting for the Dragon Balls opposing the army, defeating their generals, colonels, and captains along the way. He gives them such a hard time that they have to call upon an extremely skilled and feared assassin named Tao. Tao serves as an extremely important enemy for Goku, as it is the first time he deals with someone outside of a tournament that he cannot find a way to defeat. Goku is forced to push his body to climb Korin Tower, which takes him days, and obtain the sacred water. The water, however, is not what makes someone stronger, but instead the climb up to it. With this newfound strength, thanks to his days of climbing, Goku wins a rematch with Tao and effectively defeats him. Tao would return later in Dragon Ball as a participant in the 23rd Tenkaichi Budokai as Cyborg Tao, and even makes a non-canonical appearance in Dragon Ball Z. The next enemy Goku faces off with is Tien Shinhan, otherwise known as Tien. Goku comes across Tien Shinhan first when he discovers the village being terrorized by a beast called Inoshika-cho. The beast is defeated by Tien Shinhan, but Goku soon finds out that it was all a lie. The beast is working with Tien Shinhan and Chaozu to trick villagers. They cross paths once more in the 22nd Tenkaichi Budokai, and have one of the greatest fights in the series in the final round of the tournament, a match which is just barely won via ring out by Tien. Once more, Goku loses a tournament final to a more skilled opponent, but this becomes the first case of a major rival becoming an ally. Tien Shinhan recognizes Goku as an outstanding fighter and shows him respect, thus joining his side for life. Finally, for Dragon Ball, Goku's final major enemies were essentially the same person, the Demon King Piccolo and Piccolo Jr. Goku is faced with easily the most powerful entity he has ever dealt with in his entire life, when the Demon King Piccolo returns in search of the Dragon Balls that will bring him back to his youth. In a pretty wild turn of events, Piccolo is actually successful in his attempts to use the Dragon Balls, and is once again returned to his youth. The first thing he does after that? He destroyed Shenron, of course. With no chance of reviving friends killed by the tyrant, Goku trains to defeat the youthful version of the Demon King, who absolutely annihilated him as an old man. Goku is able to consume the Ultra Divine Water after a difficult trial, and eventually meets up with the Demon King for one final battle. Once again, we get one of the best fights in the franchise, as Goku unleashed a Kamehameha with just one hand that propels him into the sky and allows him to punch through the torso of Piccolo, leaving him on the verge of death. However, with a giant hole in the middle of his body, Piccolo was able to spit out a giant egg and send it flying miles before he dies. The egg hatches not long after, and gives birth to the Piccolo who would remain in this series to this very day. Goku ends up training for several years with Kami on the lookout in preparation for a final showdown with Piccolo. And finally, the time comes at the 23rd Tenkaichi Budokai. The duo put on a spectacle of a fight, with Piccolo becoming gigantic and nearly destroying everything, but Goku is eventually able to defeat him. Now knowing how to fly after an attack that Piccolo assumed destroyed him, Goku is able to slam his entire body into Piccolo and defeat him. Piccolo is knocked from the ring, and Goku wins the tournament, defeating the reincarnation of the Demon King. We are given a glimpse of the first time Goku makes a decision to spare someone, and Piccolo is allowed to escape, vowing revenge. With that, we're left with 4 enemies to consider as Goku's greatest enemy from Dragon Ball. For this, we're going to pick one to move on for now and compare against the DBZ and Super representatives later on: Emperor Pilaf, Tao, Tien Shinhan, and the Demon King Piccolo. Goku's 4 biggest enemies from Dragon Ball, with one clearly standing above the rest as the greatest from the series. It's without question the Demon King, as he offered Goku the biggest challenge of anyone up to that point, killed most of his friends, and forced him to truly break through the limits he knew he had. In the case of Pilaf and Tien, they've both hung around the series for quite a long time, while Tao was the first enemy to truly humble Goku, but none of them caused the maturity in Goku quite like the Demon King Piccolo did. We move on now, of course, to Dragon Ball Z, and there is no place to start there other than with Raditz. Raditz is Goku's brother, and the first we ever hear of the Saiyan race in the story. He shows up one day, kidnaps Goku's son Gohan, and flies off to await Goku's decision on whether or not he will give into his blood and join the ranks of the Saiyans still alive working for Frieza. Goku of course rejects this idea and teams up with Piccolo to fight Raditz and force him off the planet. This doesn't work out too well, as the only way they can defeat him is for Goku to allow Piccolo to kill them both with a special beam cannon. The terror Raditz manages to cause in such a small period of time by kidnapping Gohan and then eventually leading to the first of the few deaths for Goku is not something to ignore, as it makes his case a strong one for being one of Goku's greatest enemies. The next enemy, however, definitely poses a pretty strong argument for himself as not just Goku's greatest enemy, but also his greatest ally. Vegeta and Nappa come up next, though Nappa doesn't stand much of a chance against the newly revived Goku. The true enemy here is Vegeta, and his sadistic and prideful nature acts as an excellent opposite to the person Goku is at this time. One of the absolute coolest shots and cut of animation in the show is the Goku and Vegeta beam struggle, foreshadowing something we'll become all too familiar with as the franchise evolves: Goku just overpowering Vegeta. Vegeta is forced to turn into the Ozaru and gains an upper hand almost immediately. Goku is nearly defeated, but thanks to Yajirobe cutting off Vegeta's tail, the threat is dealt with. A combo attack with a spirit bomb between Goku, Krillin, and Gohan stuns Vegeta for the moment, and then they finally manage to defeat him when Gohan accidentally turns into an Ozaru himself and nearly kills the Saiyan. Goku makes the decision to stop Krillin from killing Vegeta, once again allowing an enemy to escape. Vegeta would go on to become a mainstay in the series, and after the battle with Frieza would become an ally to the team through the rest of the franchise, becoming a main character. This wouldn't even be the last time he and Goku did battle, but we'll get to that later. Speaking of Frieza, he is up next in the list of DBZ enemies for Goku. I'll try to keep this spot on him short because if we don't, we could end up going on way too long about him. He really is that evil and that much of an enemy to Goku. Frieza arrives on Namek looking for the Dragon Balls there, so he can wish for immortality, allowing him to feasibly conquer the entire universe since time will no longer be an issue. The Z-Fighters send a crew to Namek so they can help bring back their friends, as well as Piccolo and Kami so that their own Dragon Balls can be used once more. Goku eventually arrives on Namek as well after recovering from his battle with Vegeta and beats the Ginyu Force. His battle, however, leaves him needing to recover, and by the time he is ready to fight, Frieza has already transformed into his final form. Frieza kills Vegeta as Goku arrives, and a long battle commences with several fake-outs on the finish. Finally, Frieza kills Krillin by way of a dastardly explosion, and causes Goku to go Super Saiyan for the first time. The battle slides down from there until Goku finally escapes an exploding Namek and leaves Frieza on it to seemingly explode alongside it. We would come to find out that Frieza survived the explosion and was found in space and transformed into a cyborg. Frieza reappears in Dragon Ball Super after being resurrected following his death at the hands of Trunks. He has also become a mainstay in the series after the Tournament of Power arc, where he and Goku were able to help secure victory for Universe 7 by working together to defeat Jiren. Next, we have Perfect Cell, and despite his massive popularity, he just really isn't a big enemy of Goku's. While he does kill Goku via explosion when Goku sacrifices himself to teleport Cell's body away, that's really the most heinous thing he actually does to Goku and his friends. The closest prior was the beating he put on Vegeta, Trunks, and Tien Shinhan. Cell is definitely more an enemy of Gohan's, but that doesn't deny the great fight Goku has with Cell at the beginning of the Cell games. Cell might not be Goku's greatest enemy by any stretch of the imagination, but he is still a very impressive villain and character. He and Goku are really alike in a lot of ways. They just want to have a good fight with strong people. Blame the Saiyan DNA in Cell for that. Finally, for Dragon Ball Z, we've got the combination of Majin Buu, Super Buu, and Kid Buu. Goku gets the chance to fight all three forms of Buu, but his best work, of course, comes against Kid Buu. We're introduced to Super Saiyan 3 for the first time in one of the coolest transformations of all time in an anime, and get to see the form in action against both Majin and Super Buu. It's of course impossible for Goku to flat out beat Buu due to his regeneration. And even after an attempt to defeat Buhan when fused with Vegeta, oh that's right, let's talk about Vegeta real quick. Vegeta ends up allowing himself to have the evil in his heart awoken once more by Babidi so he could get a power boost in one last effort to defeat Goku. This naturally doesn't go too well for Vegeta, who ends up barely beating Goku, who hadn't even bothered going Super Saiyan 3 against him. This just adds to Vegeta's lore with Goku as an enemy, though the outcome of Vegeta becoming Majin is a lot more notable than you'd think by the time he ends up sacrificing himself to unsuccessfully defeat Majin Buu. Anyway, back to what I was saying. Goku and Vegeta fuse into Vegeto, and end up getting absorbed by Buu. They are able to escape him after a time in his body, along with Trunks, Goten, Piccolo, and the original Majin Buu's bodies. Earth explodes, but Goku and Vegeta, along with Mr. Satan, Dende, and Majin Buu, escape to the Supreme Kai's planet. From there, a battle against the newly formed Kid Buu takes place and leads to a climatic finale where Goku uses his Spirit Bomb to completely eradicate Buu and prevent him from regenerating. When it comes to Buu and the decisions Goku has made in the past, this is a bit of an interesting case. He allowed Majin Buu to remain alive with Mr. Satan because he showed that he lost the evil within him that went on to become Super Buu and finally Kid Buu. And he wishes Kid Buu would be reborn one day as a person who wasn't evil at all. This ended up coming to fruition during the end of Z when Oob was introduced. So, who is Goku's greatest enemy in Dragon Ball Z? Really, it comes down to two characters, Vegeta and Frieza. Either one makes an extremely strong case for being Goku's greatest enemy, and are possibly the top two answers for this question. Unfortunately though, only one can move on to the finale, and today, it's going to be Frieza. Goku stands against pure evil, and Vegeta is very much not that. Frieza, on the other hand, acts for himself, his own ideals, and hates all that Goku is and represents. His personality, his race, and the fact he feels the need to get in his way. Frieza offers a terrifying opposition to Goku's existence, and also served as the catalyst for the first real universe-changing transformation our protagonist has gone through. Vegeta has more than made up for the mistakes he has made, and has become a much better ally than enemy, and that's where he came up short against Frieza. Now, we move on to Dragon Ball Super, and this one is a pretty simple decision. There was really only two enemies in Dragon Ball Super for Goku to go up against. I don't count the other universes as being enemies because they act more as rivals to Goku and the rest of the gang. So Jiren and Hit aren't going to be Super's representative. There is also Beerus, who was definitely not an enemy at all, but merely someone who wanted to fight Goku because he believed in him being the Super Saiyan God. There is also Frieza, but as we just discussed, he is representing Dragon Ball Z, and we talked about his Dragon Ball Super endeavors already. You might also immediately think Broly, but I will not refer to him as an enemy of Goku's, but more so a tragic character of circumstance. Broly was working under the orders of Frieza, and had been controlled for most of his life by Paragus, thus cultivating a weird nature within him. Though the fused efforts of Vegeta and Goku enduring their battle, Broly leaves to live a normal life and comes to somewhat friendly terms with Goku. He is hardly an enemy at all to anyone. That leaves just one last enemy, and honestly, the only true enemy in Dragon Ball Super, Zamasu. Zamasu and Goku Black can be bundled together, and I can honestly see if you think that Zamasu is more Trunks' enemy than Goku's. However, one thing you need to remember is that the driving catalyst behind Zamasu finally acting upon his Zero Mortals plan was meeting Goku in the first place. He ended up not just taking his body, but also deciding to wipe out the entirety of mortal life, all because Goku showed him that not every mortal being is undyingly respectful to gods. Zamasu is truly the only enemy of Goku in Super, and he probably would give any other character from any other universe a run for their money, even if I counted them. So with that, Zamasu is undoubtedly Dragon Ball Super's representative for Goku's greatest enemy. He joins Frieza and the Demon King Piccolo. And I've gotta say guys, I think we've got a pretty stacked group of enemies here. Though we've gotta figure out just who of the three is the greatest. However, we're not going to do that today. That's right, this is a two-parter. So come on back to Mystic Sage very soon, where we'll discuss and figure out Goku's greatest enemy. What do you guys think though? Do you guys agree with the group I came up with? Let me know in the comments who you think Goku's greatest enemy is, and I'll definitely check it out. Also, please remember to check all the videos I've put out and will be putting out over here on Mystic Sage. But with that being said, if you enjoyed the video, why not leave a like and consider subscribing with notifications on. I'm Mystic Sage, and I will see you soon in the future with even more anime content. Before the video closes out, I just want to thank you so much for your support during this month of July. I'm uploading every day, and with all the different anime I'm covering, I know there's a little bit for everyone. Also, if you want a little more Mystic Sage, head on over to TikTok and check us out over there for more fun, bite-sized anime videos. I've also got an Amazon store where I sell tons of Pokemon and anime merch too, so check it out. For real this time though, thanks again for watching. I'm Mystic Sage, and I'll see you tomorrow with more amazing anime content.